Wrestling is the best thing in the world. Athletic competition, compelling drama, and industrial quantities of baby oil come together to produce the most unique storytelling experience in the world. Most of the time. For every bit of Scorsese-worthy cinema, there's a litany of straight-to-video sequels. The Book of Bad Wrestling is a sizable volume, well documented on several of our lists. Go and watch them next, I know you want to. But on occasion, sports entertainment can produce something just the right amount of awful that it shoots the moon and becomes brilliant. I'm Dan, hailing from Parts Unknown, and these are the 10 wrestling matches so bad, they're good. Number 10, the Gimmick Battle Royal, WrestleMania X7. The best show in the history of this business is 2 excellent parts sandwiched around this bit of utter baloney. Baloney I love, mark you, but baloney nonetheless. It's essentially an excuse for people to point and go, oh, it's that guy, while they queue up for a hot dog. It's this amazing bit of history. At a time when the industry was moving away from the kitsch and into gritty reality, it was a celebration of a bygone era where the way to get over was to open a copy of the Yellow Pages at random, close your eyes and point. We have a garbage man, a repo man, a marine. If only Tatanka was there, they could have led a 60,000 strong YMCA. Battle royals are rubbish anyway, but imagine one where no single competitor can bend his knees at more than a 30-degree angle, and you've got this. Thank the good Lord for Bobby Heenan, who spends the whole match telling Mean Gene dad jokes. We were simply never worthy. Number 9, Mimosa Mayhem, AEW All Out 2020. This match has all the potential to be a wonderful bit of silly nonsense, but it's treated quite seriously by all involved, which only serves to make this very funny. As explained earnestly in interviews by Chris Jericho, the feud has been about orange juice and champagne, and he's not wrong, but that is hilarious. The announce team try and sell this as unfettered violence, but must remind us that the ultimate peril is falling into a vat of mimosa, and that is hilarious. The rules make no kind of sense. Pinfalls and submissions still count, but we as the audience can't really buy into any of them because there are 2 paddling pools filled with a brunch cocktail right there waiting for someone to take a tumble. I honestly don't feel like they used the theatrics of this match to its full potential, which stopped it completely working for me. There were a few missed timings, and the end doesn't build so much as just happen, and I'm left chuckling when I could have been cackling. But we will always have the image of Chris Jericho falling into a vat of orange liquid, and for that, I am grateful. Number 8, the Reverse Battle Royal, TNA Bound for Glory 2007. TNA Wrestling was a big fan of reversing things, the reverse ladder match, the reverse cage match, and here, the Reverse Battle Royal. I'm not entirely sure they had a writer's room so much as a never-ending game of Uno. This was a match in 3 parts. 16 men stand outside the ring and try to climb in the ring. The first 8 to manage it have a battle royal, and the last 2 standing have a singles match. So instead of trying to do 1 match really well, they've decided to do 3 quite bobbins. Aside from Rikishi, nobody bothers to try and get in the ring to begin with. This despite several wrestlers just sort of standing about waiting for someone to fight. It's honestly impressive to see all of these men struggle to find excuses to not get in the ring. And when they do, it's still mad. At one point, Kaz does a Spanish fly on his arch nemesis Bobby Roode, a move which gets both men into the match, because that's what you want for your rival, isn't it? Success? The thing that makes this match brilliant though? All this nonsense, and the person who wins the tournament this is supposed to set up is simply not in the match. Good job, TNA. Total non-stop ass backwards. Number 7, Hulk Hogan vs. The Ultimate Warrior, WCW Halloween Havoc 1998. Now you might think, as I did, that this would just be a so bad it's bad match, a boring example of 2 aging stars insisting on their star power in an era moving away from them, but stick with it because it gets silly, y'all. It does start quite boring, with both men getting gassed really quickly off a style of wrestling that can only be described as, yeah, that'll do. It's just really funny to watch these 2 titans of old signal to the crowd that they're getting pumped, only to do a dad run around the ring. I'd say this whole fight has dad energy, but that would be an insult to dads. Hogan pratfalls into the ref, Warrior ends up tripping both Hogan and the ref while doing a little roll, and the announcers try to put it over as an offensive move. Brilliant. Then Hogan gets out a little sandwich bag and tries to light a fireball to throw at Warrior, except he can't light it properly, and it ends up sparking far too late, causing a devastating blow to his own hand. Cripes. Number 6, Intercontinental Championship, WWE Elimination Chamber 2015. You know when you're walking down the street and you see a couple bickering and you turn your headphones off so you can listen to what they're fighting about, and you slow your walk down so you don't miss the part where she says, "And that's why we're over, Graham." Is that just me? I know it isn't, you nosy Parkers, because we all love watching this absolute train wreck of an Elimination Chamber every year, don't we? This match didn't stand a chance in hell. First, Mark Henry's pod breaks, and there appears to be no contingency plan as he gently pokes his foot out like a house cat seeing what he can get away with. Then they have a collective brain fart and it's up to Dolph Ziggler to yell instructions to 3 grown men reduced to absolutely panicked schoolboys. And then to top it off, Sheamus gets trapped in his pod, but even if it was a total work, at this point so many things have gone wrong that it's basically become Curb Your Elimination Chamber, and you'll watch it all over again in 6 months and laugh, you remorseless cretins. Number 5, Doomsday Cage Match, WCW Uncensored 1996. Cage matches are fun, let's add another cage and call it War Games. Well that worked, so let's add another cage, and then let's pile them on top of each other and fill it with wrestlers with a combined agility rating of 4. Absolutely perfect. Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage had to enter this mammoth structure at the top and keep 2 men at bay long enough to climb through a trapdoor into a second cage where 4 men lay in wait. Then they needed to lure those men into a ring at the bottom of the structure and finish the match with a pinfall, so less a wrestling contest and something more closely resembling the kids' TV show Funhouse. A combination of dodgy knees and unstable floors means referring to the action here as stilted feels polite. Meanwhile, the production are so excited to be showing off their massive set piece that they keep missing the stuff that actually does resemble wrestling, leaving the commentary team to go, "Did you do something exciting there? I don't know, Tony." The finish sees Lex Luger hit Ric Flair with a loaded glove, whatever that is, while Hogan and Savage boop everyone with a frying pan, sneak a pin, and run away. Oh, fantastic. Number 4, The Miz vs Shane McMahon, brackets, and Snoop Dogg, close brackets, WWE WrestleMania 39. Look, I simply had to. Watching this live during my first WrestleMania watch-along, I couldn't work out whether I was sleep-deprived or if this was, in fact, real life. WrestleMania co-host Snoop Dogg decides to have some fun at the expense of Miz, and he surprises everyone by setting up a match with Shane McMahon. Yes, the Miz's old foe Shane is here once again, and he ties himself out on the entrance ramp, as is his wont, delivers his trademark punches, then goes to do, and I cannot stress this enough, the most basic wrestling spot of all time, and pops his knee while landing after a leapfrog. Now, injuries are not funny, but what is funny is the lightning-sharp reflexes of Snoop Dogg, who earns his Hall of Fame ring by immediately getting involved himself and apparently improvising a knockout punch before living every wrestling fan's dream and delivering a shoddy people's elbow on the 2-time Grand Slam champion. An utter wreck, and I just love it. Number 3, Steel Asylum, TNA Impact, January the 4th, 2010. Another from the TNA vault of matches that look like 2K community creations you put together after a night with RVD and his naughty cigarettes. This is a steel cage match with a domed roof, and the object is to scale the cage, hang tough your way to the hole in the middle of said roof, and climb through it. Simple in theory, save for the fact that lifting your body weight while hanging upside down is quite a hard thing to do. I should know, I am exceptionally well versed in the art of fitness, I promise. TNA's X Division was always their shining pearl, with fast-paced action and a breathtaking no-limit style. I have to assume that was on show in this match, because with the cage being violently red and six-sided, I absolutely can't see inside the bloody thing, now can I? If you squint, you can just about see Homicide bash his opponents with a metal rod, which inexplicably leads to a disqualification. He then decides to climb the cage and go for the roof anyway, probably to show off, and if so, I'm devastated to report that he fails miserably. He hangs there for about a minute and then tumbles to the mat before being let out the front door. Deliciously bad, and Luke Owen will give it 5 stars. Number 2, the Monster Sumo match, Hulk Hogan vs. the Giant, WCW Halloween Havoc 1995. In scenes that feel like a 5-year-old boy's imagination made manifest with a Ted Turner budget, Hulk Hogan and the Giant weld 2 massive monster trucks together and try to drive each other out of a giant firework-riddled circle on the roof of a massive building. It's a warm-up to their main event match, and if you're asking me how exactly, you have already thought further than the people who put the match together did, so give yourself -5 stars. The spectacle is a mixture of deeply funny and strangely beautiful. Hulk looks like he's having a terrible time behind the wheel of his truck, which is objectively funny, but the rooftop setting and the rain spraying out from under the tires and the slow, graceful back and forth movements of these 10-ton trucks is strangely romantic. Like, I want to see it set to Bolero and given a score at the Winter Olympics. Hogan wins because even his monster truck refuses to do the job, and then they have a little scrap which ends with the Giant falling off the roof and Hogan whispering, I kid you not, "Oh no!" Don't worry though, Tall Paul was absolutely unscathed. Beat Hogan by DQ in their main event and beat him down with the help of a Yeti that was actually a mummy. Maybe we are in the 5-year-old's head. And number 1, Jenna Maraska vs. Sharmell, TNA Victory Road 2009. I will I will survive. This list couldn't possibly have ended any other way than with this unabashed Matt classic. A match between a former Nitro girl and a reality TV star that I have googled so many times and still failed to understand how she ended up wrestling a match on the same card as Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and Sting. Sharmel's in there wearing a dress that would have seen her eliminated from Drag Race, and out comes Jenna with a royalty-free song that can only have been picked because it had the word survive in the title, and which you will be singing to yourself all week. I will survive. Jenna climbs into the ring and presents herself like a dog on heat, then gets knackered in the first 15 seconds after having performed approximately 0 moves. And then the pair of them start doing what people who hate wrestling think wrestling looks like. It's all so wonderfully, deliciously bad, and it's only made better by the incredible visual of the immensely talented Awesome Kong's notable distaste for the proceedings, as well as Mike Tenay's honestly heroic attempt to commentate on this match seriously. One swift punch from Kong is enough for Jenna to score a pinfall that we can't discuss in polite society, and mercifully, she gets a splash of her own from Kong and the world hasn't been the same since. Anyone can have a bad wrestling match, but it takes something really special to make wrestling this bad this good. And that's our list. Head on down to the old comment section to let us know your best worst matches, and while you're there, give us a like and a subscribe, and then check out one of our other lists, like this one right here. Go on, click it. Please? Thank you. It's the most mid-time of the year. This stretch between SummerSlam and the Royal Rumble, aside from a brief November sojourn into War, both of the games and brand variety, is usually a bit of a wasteland, littered with stalling feuds and B pay-per-views, and perhaps the most B of all the B shows is WWE Payback. Sure, it was a fairly landmark show in 2020.